Hi there viewers, my name's David Arundel, otherwise known as the Extraordinary Tourist or the Lazy Animator, and in this video I'm going to make an entry for Cartoon Animators Animation at Work competition, and this is Reallusion's competition website here, and the category I'm going to be entering with this particular video is this one here, Best Vertical Shorts, and I'm planning to use one of my own characters available in my Marketplace store. These characters here, my skeleton skateboarder characters, and as this video is going to serve as my work in progress video, I'm going to just quickly show you where these came from. They were originally not designed as characters for Cartoon Animator. I in fact designed them for my print-on-demand business, and you can see here this is the original sketch for that particular skeleton. It was a skateboarding skeleton. One example of how I used it. See the skeleton there, complete with the sneakers that you see in the character in my store. And this was a design that I made to go on hoodies and on skateboard as well. So I'm just going to get straight into putting my ideas together, and I'm going to go through the whole process from writing a bit of a script to doing a bit of a storyboard and then going straight into the animation. Get started. Here I am in my script writing software. This is called TET, which is a free script writing software. Got script name. I decided to call this one Grave Vlogger. The logline is like your elevator pitch for what your script is going to be. Usually it's about one sentence, and I had this idea for my skeletons. We're in a graveyard and some paranormal investigators have set up a camera in the graveyard and left overnight, and one of my skeletons digs himself out of a grave, notices the camera and starts using it for vlogging, and just generally comments into the camera as a kind of a commentary on the way that everybody's got cameras and are sort of filming their lives and whatever, vlogging and that kind of thing, so why shouldn't Dead do that too? Right, so the synopsis is usually an expanded version of what we've written in the logline. Usually you want to expand this to a couple of paragraphs. There we go, so that's my synopsis. Okay, I'm not going to script this too much. A lot of this I think I'm just going to ad-lib a little bit. Might put together just a quick script, see how we go. I am going to do a bit of a storyboard and sort of think about things that he could say. So the reason I'm making the camera glitch is so partly because I don't want to have to animate the whole skeleton coming out of the grave. I just want to animate the fist pushing through so that you get the idea of where the skeletons come from, and if we do the glitch and then the skeleton's out, get that the skeletons come from the grave, and now he's in the camera getting on with this. This whole thing is only going to last about a minute, so we don't want to spend all that time just watching the skeleton come out of the ground. We want to get to the dialogue and talking and hopefully the funny part of what this script is. That's my basic script, and I might write some stuff in there, but I don't want to script this too much. That would mean I would actually have to learn my script, and once I've got everything set up, I just want to sort of ad-lib a few lines and things that I think a YouTuber or a vlogger might do, and hopefully come up with something funny. So that's all I'm going to do for my script. Move on to doing a bit of a storyboard, I think. Okay, so here we are in my storyboard application, just called Storyboarder, and as you can see I've set up my first frame as a vertical video. I'm just going to draw my ideas here and sort of get an idea of what I'm going to be making when I'm in Cartoon Animator. That's going to be our story. We open on the grave, hand punches through, glitches out, and the next thing we see is this skeleton talking, glitches, and then credits. That's our storyboard. So here I am in Cartoon Animator. I've got my camera set up for vertical videos, and I'm going to use All Hallows Eve pack of props basically. This pack is by Reallusion themselves. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to make up a bit of a background using some of the props found in this pack. So there we go, that's my background, and I might get one of my skeletons just to see what it looks like. I'll even mess around with the colour on him. Maybe imagine him being about there, doing some kind of movement or what have you. Too sure I like the colour here. Be sort of reflecting whatever the light is, so I might go with that. What I'm going to do is, instead of animating his fist coming out of the grave first, which is the sort of first part of this animation, is I'm going to animate the dialogue and sort of my ad-libbing first, because if I can't come up with something that I'm happy with the actual script, there's no point in animating fist coming out, because I'm wasting my time because I won't use it. And I'm going to be using the Face Live plugin, or Motion Live plugin I think it's called. Motion Live 2D. What I'm going to do, because I'm going to be using Motion Live, is turn my little image here in the corner off of me. We don't need that anymore. And then I'm going to boot up with the Face 3D tracker here. Hopefully that's going to work. My OBS software. Face tracker. Do my Logitech camera. There we go. And I am going to have to take my glasses off to use this. It will work with the glasses on, but it tends to work a lot better without them. I'm happy with that as the settings. I'm going to keep that on top. You can see that's now tracking my face, making sure I've got my character selected. Fire up Motion Live 2D. I can put this over here because I'm going to be focused on this area. Put this one over here. Now you see I've got my character down here selected, so I want the face, and I also want the upper body to face 3D for body, and then we just got to turn things on. Take these off. I'm going to set a 0 pose for the face. Make sure I'm looking at the camera when I click this. Hopefully that's worked, and then we're going to do the same for the body. Now we've got our 0 poses. Preview this now. Eyes are blinking. And what are we doing? Not getting too much movement in the body. See the shoulders there moving a bit. That's really all body pose does. Give you a bit of movement in the shoulders. You can see it gets more movement the more I tip my head. And I'm not too worried about the lip movement at the moment, because what I'm going to do is have it do the lip movement after the fact. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. I'm explaining this, so get out of that. So you'll see in the settings for the face, we've got some options down here to record the audio, and we can do lip sync. We can either do lip sync in real time, or we can do post-process. Change the lip sync, smooth head, and blend data on next recording, so that if I record over like a second movement on the same part of the timeline, it'll blend motion instead of erasing it. Got strength things here. You can actually increase these so that you get a lot more movement. So say try pushing the mouth up. Got a meter here that shows you how much things are being tracked. Mouth. I've got the mouth turned up and the jaw up. Jaw open really goes up. Take it all the way back. The mouth and jaw turned up a bit just to try and get. Let's see if that gets me a little more lip syncing happening. I think we might be okay. We'll just preview that, see how we go. So hopefully that's pretty good. Reasonable turning of the head, I'm happy with that. Really hard to tell how the mouth is going. We'll just persevere and do some of this animation, because once I'm done with my dialogue and doing this, I'm going to go back through and add predefined animations to the actual body. So I think we're just going to get on with it. I think I'm going to start with like doing a standard being spooky, and then he's going to notice the camera. Wait, is that a camera? Oh wow, is that recording? Wow. Just got to keep track on the timeline here because I've only got it set to the standard 2000 frames. Let's think, what are we going to say? Is that recording? Oh, hey, it's your boy here. No. God, I haven't done this in a while. Gosh. Oh, hey, it's your boy. Oh, jeez. Who'd have thought it'd be hard to vlog when you're dead? Really rusty. Okay. It's your boy Bones. Bones Dead Guy. Vlogging from the grave. That's me. Ooh. So we ran out of stuff. So what I'm going to do is save that one out as a take. Capture 01. And then what we're going to do, load in the blank one again. Okay, what are we going to do? Let's try this. Yeah, I've just been chilling here down at the graveyard. Everything's really down to earth, or, well, everything's pretty much under the earth, really, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, dad jokes, hey? Oh, well. Think of something else. Yeah, I don't know what these people were expecting to see when they set up this camera here. I mean, they're probably thinking they might get some really exciting footage of some real spooky guy, but they got me and, you know, now I'm just a bit camera shy. I can't think of what I want to do. Ugh. It's everybody's problem, right? Once the camera's turned on, all the ideas are gone. Alright, I might do the last bit. And I think I've probably got enough to fill up a minute of footage. And I can always come back and add more in. If I don't, I'll just do these two and then we'll get on to animating. So I've got maybe a couple of 100 frames left. See if I can get this in or not. Go record. What we got? Okay, so that's it from your boy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I don't know, maybe we'll see you in the graveyard soon, who knows. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to shut down the face tracker. Okay, so go back to my first one of these. Right, so from this point I'm going to show just a little bit of me doing the animation on this and how I'm going to approach it. I'm not going to record everything from start to finish because that's going to give me like hours of footage to edit through. I'll just do a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll sort of come in at the end and maybe show you the finished result. What I'm going to do is get on the timeline. I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to work on just the opening bit. So we've got... Wait, is that a camera? Oh no, is that recording? Wow. Stop that about there and bring up the marker, so that when I do playbacks I don't play the whole timeline. And I'll keep the face clip open. You'll see all the keyframes in here. That's from the motion capture. And you'll see if I open the motion track for the body up there, it does have something happening in here. It'll be interesting to see how the motions affect that, because I haven't really done a lot of animating with motions prior to this. So I don't know whether that shoulder movement is going to be affected a whole lot, what sort of things are going to happen, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So there's the first bit here. You need to have him doing something sort of spooky and scary, like he's just come up out of the grave and he wants to scare people. So we go into the animation tab, see what I've got. I'm not sure. You can see a lot of animation. Doing it this way is just going to be a lot of searching and not a lot happening in between. Case of trying to remember what we have in my library. Let's try this dance moves and see if we can slow them down so they look a little more like it's being spooky. So we'll try this. And we'll do the loop. Stretch that out, make it slower. See what that looks like. Wait, is that a camera? Move that along a bit. Stretch that one out. Wait, is that a camera? Want to sort of stop. Slow. Camera? Oh wow. Is that recording? I think I want to do that one. That one either. Let's see if we can find a questioning pose. Try this one, awkwardness. Oh no, is that record? Yeah, I like that. So, I'm going to do a save. And you're noticing that his arm went behind his back, which I don't want. I'm going to have to get into the layers manual. Editor. Get this right forearm. Send it to the front of the hip. And same with the right hand. Right hand. Send to the front of the right of the hip. And back of the right hand, hopefully. And here we want to do right hand, send to the front of the face, and right forearm, send to the front of the face. And now I've got to mess around with the hands, just because they look kind of weird. And they're bone hands, so I'm going to go through the 2D motion key editor. We want to start with them. Basically want to flip them over. I'm just going to keep an eye on them. Some layer work there. Get to about there. I would say they need to be flipped over again. To work out which way they need to be. let's see what that looks like. Wait, is that a camera? Oh no. Is that recording? Wow. Anyway, so you get the idea of what I've got to do. And I'm just going to get on with this and come back to you when I've pretty much got everything animated. I'm not going to record. Said I'm not recording all of my work, otherwise we'll be here for hours. And quite frankly, I just don't have the hard drive space to record all that footage. So I'll see you back here on the other side when I've animated my skeleton. Okay, so it's the next day. I spent a few hours yesterday evening doing all my animation for this entry, and I thought I'd spend a little bit of time just going through where we've ended up. You can see I've got here open. This is my first scene, and this is the scene where the skeleton punches up through the earth. A very quick scene, and you barely even see the skeleton punching through, so I might even slow this down a bit once I get it into my video editor if I can. But we'll see how we're going for time, the rest of it. So I'm just going to play it one time through. And you can see that was really fast. I definitely need to put a little bit of time before that happens so that the viewer just take in the scene of the graveyard and the site, take in what's there before this fist comes flying through the ground. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Anyway, just to break down what I did, you can see down here I've got the skeleton. And all I did was I modified an existing punching animation that I already had. I just made the punch go straighter. Go to the scene manager and see I've got the skeleton here, and I made his head invisible by setting his head to not have a sprite in it, so that I wouldn't have to waste time covering that. I've just got the whole thing invisible. Frame 1, he's all crouched up, ready in this pose, ready to go. See, the dirt is already starting to come up. I sort of imagined that would be what was happening on the surface as his fist was punching up through the ground. There'd be things happening on top before he actually gets there. And this is the moment just before his fist hits through the ground. And there it is, getting up. See all the dirt coming up. All this dirt is actually just recolored smoke. It's actually a puff of smoke that just goes straight up, but I've done some work in the timeline, so if we look at the actual smoke here, you'll see it resizes, and then I distort it and bring it down using transforms so that it flattens on the ground like it's earth instead of smoke. Now I did that, and you'll see there's this little sort of dust coming up here as well if we go in a bit closer. See these dust particles, which is actually like from the weather, a weather pack, dust floating in the air. Again, I've used transforms to make that when it first comes in. And all these other things are just props. Crack in the floor is an animated prop that I've cut down. And we've got a bit of hand movement in the end just to show that, just to show he's sort of maybe flexing his hand a bit after this punch up through the ground. And so we'll go to the next scene, save any of that. And so this is the scene that you saw before that I did the motion capture of, and now I've done all the animation for the actual character. And all of this animation has been done just by patching together existing pre-animated motions, breaking them up, taking sections here and there and trying to time them with what's being said. So that's that one. You'll notice a couple of things in there, a couple of problems if you really look at it. You'll see when his hands go up to his face, even though I've made his hand in front of his face, for some reason the fingers go behind, and I haven't been able to work out how I can get those to go in front because there is nothing in the layer manager for fingers. You've only got in here right hand, left hand, and I've made that go in front of his face, but cannot for the life of me get the fingers to go in front of the face. I'm just going with that, how it is, and we're just going to put up with it. I'll give you a quick look at the timeline for the character though, so you can see that all of these motions up here, go back to the start. dance to loop and all that. You'll see there's little keyframes here and there where I've done some modifying. A big gap there. Keyframes in here. Awkwardness. Go into an idle stand motion from there. And obviously, like, what you're going to see is only what appears inside the red camera square there. So when you see that hand's looking a bit awkward outside of that, that's because I haven't made any effort to animate them while they're out there, because that's really would be a waste of time because no one's going to see them out there. That's it for this section. We'll move on to exporting and doing the final edit. So at this point in creating this animation, I've actually completed all of the editing and done a final cut. And what I'm going to do now is go through and just show you what I actually did. And it was quite a process because I actually went through 3 different video editors to get to my final cut. So to begin with, I started in HitFilm Express. The only reason I went with this editor is because I've never used it before and I wanted to try it out. As it happens, HitFilm is ideal for showing you how I exported my scenes. So you'll see here, this window in the top left corner is what's in my media pool. So right now I've got just the foreground of my skeleton punching through the ground. So you can see here, that's that. There's no background on it, it's just the mask and the fist coming up through there. So I exported that separately, and then we've got the skeleton from my first motion capture that I did, and I'll just play a little bit of this so you can see. I'll stop that there so you can see it's just the skeleton on a transparent background. Then we've got the skeleton transparent background from the second round of motion capture that I did. Then we've got the grave background here, and it's just the graves, the fence and the tree. You can see in the final one over here, no sky there, all that's transparent. And then I've got a second version of the grave where I realised that in later scenes this hole that the skeleton punched through would actually be bigger in the end because he would have had to have climbed out of it. So I made this scene showing the bigger hole. And then of course we've got the final bit of sky. And you can see, compared to the final video over here, you can see I used HitFilm to blur the sky. And if you look at the grave, you'll notice that's quite sharp here, but I've slightly blurred just to give a bit more depth of field. These are all on separate tracks in the timeline in HitFilm. So you can see there, I've got a track with the fist jumping up and the skeleton motion capture. And I've got tracks with the foreground and the graves on them. See, if I go to a little bit further up, here you can see how these go together. So if I turn this layer off, see there, that's the hole. And you notice I've changed all the color scheme too. I just felt it needed to be darker, and that the moon needed to be shining more, and the fence posts needed and tree here needed a bit of highlighting on them just to make them stand out. Yeah, if I turn this off, this layer off, you can see that's all the highlighting behind the fences. Turn them back on and then turn the highlighting off. See, it gets a bit darker. I just wanted to add a bit of highlighting just so that the graves were, you could see them a little bit more. They didn't disappear into the background quite so much. Turn those two off. We've got just the sky on its own track there and it's blurred. So that's how I exported everything rather than do it all as one video file. It's all in parts, with these particular sections being still images, and the only video I actually exported was the track with the skeleton and the fist punch on transparent files. Turn all that back on, get all that back. If we look at the audio, I didn't do any audio processing in this. That's got no audio on the fist pump, and then it's just the audio of the skeleton talking. So if I just play a little bit what I did in here, just so that you can get an idea. So watching this window over here, see the fist pushed up through the ground. You notice as well, this is a bit laggy. Some of that could be due to the fact that I'm screen recording at the same time. And you'll notice all the processing I did on the skeleton. So if I stop that, some effects on him as well. So if you compare how he looks there coming out of Cartoon Animator, I applied a filter effect on that, got a glow effect. And where I hit a wall with this was in the final animation. I wanted to have these like cuts where it was like 2 bits of video with a bit of video noise in between, so it wasn't just straight jump cuts between the different clips, because this particular version of the animation is just the exact motion capture and animation that I did in the order that I recorded it, which is not the intention of this animation. I wanted to have them all be clipped and to sort of rearrange them a little bit, feel a little more random and a little less recorded in order. And I couldn't find anything in HitFilm with the effects that would do that properly, even though you've got all of these effects that you've got here. So what I ended up doing was taking what I've done in here, exporting that out as a file. Then I moved over to VideoProc Vlogger, which is a video editor that I recently reviewed in my blog. Okay, so this is VideoProc Vlogger, and I actually did my final edit, or my final extended cut edit, in this particular application, and you'll see what I actually did here to get my little mid-scene blurs and stuff. VideoProc Vlogger has a bunch of inbuilt transitions. So this one, to get this little blurry white noise, television noise kind of thing. First I used glitch memories, so if I double click on that, that gives you this glitchy feel. That was my transition that I've used between the video clip here in the video track. And then over the top of that, I used an actual effect from the built-in effect, which was this one, noise. You see that gives you white noise snow that you see on old television. So combining those two, and then I added a sound effect, which, if I go to the media library, this one, I think, TV Snow. So it's just that sound that you used to hear from the old television sets which have snow, and the whole effect is pretty much like this, which didn't work very well because this has got a bit of a delay or lag on it when it operates as well. And the other things I added here was, you can see there's an overlay track. So if I turn off my video track, you can see there's this overlay of a phone camera which I had to make as a prop, and I just added it as an overlay obviously. But then I wanted these numbers down here to be moving to show that the video is actually recording, but there was no way in this application that I could find a way to make those numbers animated. So if you see, if I run this, you can see them counting down. So what I had to do was go into my trusty editor, which is ShotCut. I'm just opening that now, because what I know about ShotCut is that when you add text or a text block in ShotCut, the default text that actually gets put in it into the text block is an animated timer that looks just like that. So if I open that, you'll see here that's all this file is. It does have the camera overlay in it just for positioning purposes, so I could put that in the right spot. And if you play it, that's all it is. It's a 5 minute count up, if you like, 0 to 5 minutes of this timer. So you'll see, if I open this, that's just a text block, and if I go into the filters, it's just text simple, and you just put in this hashtag time code. Didn't even have to format it or anything. Put it in and it starts counting up because it's just a time code. So that's all I had to do. I exported this out here as an MP4, exactly what you see here, white text on a black background, and back in here you've got it as a 5 minute timer overlay. It's all chopped up here because I've rearranged all my clips to get a better order. If I go to the properties for my 5 minute delay, all the properties, anything selected in the timeline down here are in this corner, and you can pretty much see, just had to position it in place. Here we go, blend mode, I used a lighten blend mode, and also with my camera overlay and the timer I decreased the opacity down. to 50% so that you can actually see through it. So you can see the camera here is transparent or partially transparent, and so are all these, so that it doesn't block out the actual image that the person's filming. Sound design, I've got a bit of wind, quiet wind and creak in the background. Then we've got the start with the punch animation. Almost these sound effects came from freesound.org. So that's the punch through the ground, and then we've got some rocks falling. When the dirt comes up and goes down again, I've used a section of that. Then you hear him cough, so there's this cough that I added in. That's the music that you hear him dancing to later on in the clip, in the dance section. I think that's about it for sound design. Wasn't too much. As I said, I add an echo onto his voice that you hear. So that was that, and then obviously in here I added in my titles. I've got those here. So I just did basic credits in here, nothing flashy about those, and then added deleted scenes, all the things that I didn't use, and there's a little flashing thing here that just says deleted scenes, more titles on the end, and that was pretty much it. There you go. I hope you've enjoyed following along, watching how this entire project went from start to finish, and perhaps you got something from that. You got an insight maybe into how I work, or possibly into how you might adopt some of my techniques maybe into your own project. So this video is probably already hellishly long, so I'm just going to leave that there. Don't forget to check out my blog, Animation and Video, which is a resource for independent and hobby animators. There's all kinds of things there to help you make animations, largely with Cartoon Animator, but I do sort of go around the place and look at other software and animation programs and whatever too. And also check out the Lazy Animator website, where I sell tutorials and my course teaching you how to use Cartoon Animator or learn Cartoon Animator in the shortest possible time. It's a very direct course, powers you through learning how to animate with Cartoon Animator. So I'll leave it at that. Till next time, bye for now.